Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So today, I'm going to talk about AI. People think that this is a bubble and it's going to burst. There's a lot of speculation about it, there's a lot of unease about it. People are thinking it's going to take jobs, X, Y, Z. If you can't already tell from the stuff behind me, or you haven't really watched any of my other YouTube channels, well, I'll just start off by saying I work in the computer industry, and actually it's my biggest moneymaker right now, and my biggest hobby, if nothing else. I built my first computer when I was about 5-6 years old, with my dad's help. My second computer I built when I was about 7, and I have done just about everything under the sun when it comes to computing, I don't know, including play with AI of all kinds. That being said, I also do a lot of reading, and I've read a lot of sci-fi, and I've read a lot of just non-fiction research stuff, right? I have a few certifications I've taken. I've worked in several industries, you name it. I know what I'm talking about here when it comes to AI. Or at least I'd like to think I do. So, I see a lot of videos right now that people are all pissed off. The world sucks right now, right? There's a lot of really bad shit happening. Businesses are failing. I know one business owner where she told me, this is like the worst year on record for her business, and I'm like, it's bad, and a lot of people are starting to blame it on AI and this big AI bubble that they feel has to burst at some point. There's got to be, it's insane, what's happening right now. This is unsustainable. It's not totally wrong, but it's also not totally correct. So let's start out simply. AI, artificial intelligence. It's kind of a buzzword right now, and it's, in my opinion, a little improperly used. I understand why it's being used. I partially agree with why it's being used, or why it's being called AI, but it is sort of kind of a buzzword. To be honest, really, it's turned into a big old marketing scheme right now, which is honestly sad, because AI could mean a lot of good things. It historically has meant that. People have been thinking about an artificially intelligent machine since the dawn of electronics themselves, since the dawn of computers, decades and decades ago. I mean, you've seen, 1984 was a good example of that, the 1968, 2001 A Space Odyssey, HAL, Open the Pod Bay Doors, we've all heard that one. Let's be real, AI, the idea of AI anyway, has been around for quite some time, multiple generations if we're being honest. So, it's not a new idea. People have been working on it forever. So get used to it. It's here to stay. Alright, that's my first little bit here, okay? This stuff has been on the minds and dreams of computer engineers forever. Everybody has thought about it. If you've ever worked in any capacity with computers, in any seriousness, you have thought about artificial intelligence, and if nothing else, you've thought about automation. That is what AI is right now. Automation. It isn't this super intelligent, amazing, whatever, right? We don't have any examples yet of any artificial... In some YouTube videos, it'll be like, ooh, the ChatGPT is trying to kill people. I don't even watch those videos. They're so fucking full of shit. Artificial intelligence is nothing but really, really good automation right now. There is no such thing yet, at least publicly, of a super intelligent AI. There is some really good automation, and it's gotten so good that it is, yes, on that. That's why they're calling it AI, because it's really close. It's on that edge, but it's still just really good automation. Now, yes, the models they're using simulate the brain in certain ways, and they're using that same model, blah, blah, blah. I get that. That's why the other reason why they're calling it AI. But until that thing can think, feel, and love, I'm not calling it yeah, I guess maybe it's intelligent, but not in all ways. But as we've seen, AI makes several mistakes. It's still, to this day, very imperfect. Now, I'm not trying to suggest that people are perfect, because they're absolutely not. But, I mean, it makes really, really fundamental, critical mistakes on a daily basis. I have used AI in my career, and it's a good, to me, AI is good for nothing more than starting a template for you. Here's how you could do it. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good reference point. I'll go from there, right? Like recently, I had to develop a pretty big script to convert an entire domain over, and yes, I utilized, because for efficiency alone, I was on a time crunch. Yeah, I utilized ChatGPT a little bit to help me out with that script. I did not, hey ChatGPT, write me a script. Sure, it'll spit you out, a good finalized result, but and hell, I had a test bench I could run its script on, and it fucked up every single time and did okay. It actually, in some ways, wiped information it should never have touched in the first place. And I'm like, how the hell did you do that? So it's really only good for a template. Here's how syntax maybe should look. Here are the commandlets you should use for your scripts. Whatever. And that goes for anything. If you're having AI write a legal document, okay, probably a good start. But, I mean, you're going to want to look over it and probably make several edits, if not rewrite half the damn thing, and just use what it put out as a good starting point. Just honestly, if nothing else, to help you think about what you should do. AI is just really good automation right now, and it's nothing more than a tool. That's all this stuff is right now. Now, yes, it's taken jobs away. It is, and the big corporations, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, even retail all these, they're going to start using it and firing a lot more people, because the mundane stuff, we have current models that can do that work. Sorry, not sorry, but hey, we don't have milkmen anymore either. There's a lot of things we got rid of that automation simply made better that happened before the early 2000s even. So there's tons of examples of that. But people, that's the problem. That right there is what's freaking people out, because they don't like the fact that they have put all their eggs in one basket. That people, they put all their eggs in one basket. So this one particular thing they're good at now is being replaced by AI. So, oh my God, I'm freaking out, and if not, it's because they're, instead of putting all of their mental energy that they're putting into this bubble bullshit, they're instead, trying to make AI look bad, weaponize it, be like, oh, AI is this horrible thing, it's horrible for, the world. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of ways it will be used for bad, and currently the billionaires are, in some ways, using it for pretty bad shit. But AI, as it stands here, is here to stay. Alexa. Alexa's a good example. Siri's pretty old now, right? But all those things are models. They're AI models. They've been around for over a decade now. The stuff we're seeing now are just better versions of those models. Now, will this eventually evolve into a super intelligent AI? Yes, and I have my own concerns for that too. To me, if you're going to have a super intelligent AI that now can think for itself like you and I could, you need to not be a good programmer or even a good computer engineer. You need to be a good parent. Think of Short Circuit. The first one, I forget her name, Stephanie in that movie. And it wasn't computer engineers or the company that built this robot, Johnny Five, that was any good at communicating with him. It was this random girl who liked animals. You need to be a good parent to something like that. But we're not even nearly to that point yet, right? We're getting there. And yes, we're probably going to get there quicker now that companies are investing all this money, billions of dollars in this technology. But we're not quite there yet. And by the way, once we get there, that's not going to be some bubble that bursts. That's just going to be the reality of the world. So, that's my next point, though, actually, is the billionaires pouring money into this thing. Guys, Microsoft just bought an entire power plant, 3 Mile Island. They've renamed it something else, but they just bought an entire fucking power plant, nuclear power plant. To power this, they're building data centers right and left. Companies are betting almost everything they've got into this technology. That's not gonna just... They'll never do that. These organizations know how to invest properly. Okay, I guarantee that. These organizations know how to invest properly. They would never pour this much money into something if they weren't legitimately certain it was going to work. Do they have an escape plan if it doesn't? Of course they do. But it would mean losing like 9/10 of what they have, and believe me, they're not willing to do that for just nothing. If the risk is in any way substantial, they won't do it. These people are fucking greedy. How do you think they got there in the first place? You know? They're not going to dump bunches of money unless they know it's going to have a huge return. That's just the reality of this beast. You know? And yeah, in some ways, these companies probably will flop, you know, but the technology itself will continue on anyway. And a good example of that is the internet. It's probably the most recent example we have. Because just like AI is kind of like a fundamental in computers, which is automation, the internet is based on another fundamental, and that is networking. You know, plugging more than one computer into each other so they can talk. A network. That's what the internet is one giant network. The internet is nothing special. It literally is just one big effing network that all the computers are plugged into each other with. That is literally, of course, it's a complex network. It takes a lot of management, but that actually, in reality, is just it. That is the internet. It's simple. It's fundamental. Well, remember from 1995 to the early 2000s, you had this thing called the dot-com bubble that did, in a way, burst because there were a lot of smaller businesses that invested all of their freaking resources into it. And sure, when things kind of stabilized out and flattened out, they kind of went bankrupt. But you also had those giant corporations. Oh, look at that. Microsoft, Apple, Google, the ones that are actually around right now, by the way, that made a killing off of this, and they still are to this day. That bubble never bursted for them. It's only expanded. And I don't know, it might not ever burst. We'll see. You know? But that's what I'm saying. The technology itself is here to stay. You're not getting rid of it. So for those of you that are hoping that this is just a bubble, that it will burst, I'm here to tell you, with all my computer experience, no, this is not a bubble. It's not going to burst in the way you see it to burst. Yes, there will be a lot of people that invest a lot of stupid money in AI that are smaller than Microsoft, Apple, blah, 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 whatever, and they will fail. But that is different, you know, than you and I losing our 9-to-5 jobs to AI. We're not getting those back. They're not coming back. Bring back the milkman and tell me whenever you get your job back. You're not going to get your job. If your job is so mundane that a machine can do it without much effort, you're in trouble. And that's just the reality. Now, that's not to say that you are going to fail at life. No, you're just going to have to step into the next chapter of your life. By the way, that's what I'm doing here. My career is in the shitter. If you weren't aware, the information technology sector kind of sucks right now as far as getting a job. Just not great. I've decided I'm taking on something else. I'm taking on politics, another thing I've always been interested in, and my channel is now more focused on that. Yeah, this channel is more this video, is more technology based, and I might make more videos like this because honestly, I do like the idea of a tech channel still, but let's just face it, you know, the market is so saturated with technology right now that tech is running the world. I'm not special by being able to by being good at computers. That doesn't make me any special anymore. You know, just doesn't. And that's fine. You know, I'm good with that. I'm good with just being like, all right, man, let's shift, let's divert. What else am I interested in that I can make a living at? Hell, I've always had to have my YouTube channel going, and also politics is like a daily thing I pay attention to. Hey, let's pay attention to that, because especially right now in this day and age, that's a big fucking deal. There you go. So guys, instead of hoping that this AI shit goes away, how about you just start using it, taking it to advantage? Focus on how AI is being used now, how it's changing the world. How can you get in on that? That's what you should be focused on. That's the reality. You know, this is the business world, man. It just is the reality. You know, yes, are there a lot of problems with AI? Yes, and in time, we will have to face those issues. And we will. Just like they faced with electricity, with automobiles, flying to the moon, you name it. You know, all of these things, they figured out how they're going to get around this. You know, was it always pretty? Was it always perfect? No. But that's how this is going to go. So instead of wishing this technology away, embrace it for what it is, acknowledge its faults, and then work with that. That's all. I hope this video was interesting. Have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one.